Emergency alert, threat level severe. This was no normal Amber Alert. I woke up to the sound of my phone making a tone I've never heard before, sort of a rapid-fire pinging. I turned it on to see what was going on, and there was some sort of alert notification. What was odd was that I couldn't close it or even turn my phone off. The screen simply would not respond to being powered off. I couldn't screenshot it either. All functions other than scrolling were disabled. But this is what it said. Alert reports of an anomalous signature on radar were reported near your location. Advisory, stay indoors. Bring all house pets inside. Turn off all noise-making devices. Seek shelter in basements or rooms without windows or doors to the outside. Emergency services are suspended until further notice. Threat level is severe. Obey all instructions to prevent unnecessary loss of life or property. Now obviously this was pretty effing concerning. It's late in the season for any large storms, but it's not unheard of, and we've had tornadoes here before. I could hear rain on the windows and the sound of wind, so I grabbed my 3 cats and took us down into the basement with some food and a sleeping bag. My basement is cramped and full of all kinds of junk, and I wasn't thrilled to be spending time down there, but the alternative was clearly not an option. While the cats wandered around digging in boxes and knocking things over, I had time to sit and read the alert over again, which is when things started to seem strange. I must have missed it the first time, but now I noticed the warning to turn off all noise-making devices. What did that mean? Why would that be important? Even with a television at full blast, you'd certainly be able to hear a tornado coming. I only realized something was really wrong when I looked closer at the actual alert itself. The interface of the warning wasn't one I recognized. The border wasn't consistent with any apps or the OS. It had clearly been opened by a third-party app, but I wasn't sure which one or how it could have done so. I wondered if it was a virus. I had to work in a few hours, and I didn't want to stay awake for nothing. Leaving the cats downstairs, I went up and turned on the television in the living room. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I couldn't help feel another jolt of fear when that same message popped up in a traditional emergency broadcast. That awful klaxon made my heart rate spike, so I turned it off and went back to the basement to wait it out. I sent my boss a text on my old pay-as-you-go, which seemed to be unaffected for whatever reason, letting him know I might not make it in that day. As it turned out, he was also in his basement. He could hear what sounded like heavy rainfall and wind outside. We wished each other well, agreed that work would be canceled, and went back to waiting. The cats settled in various places, and I curled up in my sleeping bag and fell asleep. We all woke up at the same time about an hour later. It wasn't as much a jolt as a slow, confused awakening. Something wasn't right. The cat's eyes were wide, their fur puffed up. One, my oldest girl, had her eyes locked on the filthy little window at the far corner of the room. I was absolutely overcome by a palpable sense of dread, but my frantic glances around the room were fruitless. The cats began to hiss, all of them looking at that window now, but I couldn't see anything except darkness. I turned toward the stairs, and the change in direction allowed me to hear something below the growling and hissing. A very low hiss, not like static, but like the sound of blood flowing through your ears when it's quiet. It was incredibly unsettling to hear it coming from an outside source. It was such an intimate, familiar sound, and hearing it that way was wrong, very, very wrong. And I could also hear, bizarrely, what sounded like calliope music. At this point, I was convinced I was losing my mind, or having an incredible lucid dream. But when one of the cats leaped from a box to fly across the room,